So to get to Microsoft Forms, you can go to the waffle part here and click on Forms if it's there. If you haven't clicked it on already, you can click onto the Office 365 link and then you'll see Microsoft Forms within there. And it'll open up in a window, as you can see here. Now we're going to create a new quiz form that we're going to use for a test. So we're going to type in the name of our quiz. We could put in a description. And then we can add questions. So we've got different types of questions that we can choose. We can choose multiple choice, short or long answers. We can choose a rating. We can choose a date field. You can also choose a like art type section as well. So I'm going to go for multiple choice. So first question, what is the answer to this? Is it yes? So you put in a question there and then it'll give you some suggested options, and you can add those if you like, or you can delete them, etc. If yes is the correct answer, you go to the correct answer tick here. Now there is an option here to display a message to respondents who select this answer, but as we'll see later on, this doesn't actually show up in the feedback. Okay, so message for respondents selecting this answer. Oops, spell that correctly. There we go. And we could put another one in here. So you may think that you can add feedback in here, but we'll see that actually that's not the best way of doing things. So down here you can put how many points are for the question. You can put if there's more than one answer or if it's a required answer. With the dots here, you have a choice to make it drop down instead of showing all the things, or if you want maths options. But we're going to look at a simple one here, and we're going to have a second question here, which could be question 2. Can we get feedback in Microsoft Forms in a Teams assignment? So we can put a question in there, and we can say here what the answer is. So we could put the answer, the correct answer is yes. Could be one of the answers. We can, if it's a longer answer, we can click that, and we can say is it required or otherwise, and we can click the number of points that we need for that one. Okay, and we'll do one more question here. I'm going to say explain what your answer was to the first question above. Okay, so we can have an explanation question there, and we could say that's going to be a longer question because of that. Okay, so that is one of the things that we can do, and to get a pupil to do that, okay, so having created the form quiz, one of the options we can do is we can click on share and we can click copy, and then we can go to our team and we can make a post here. Here is a forms quiz for you to do, and we can make it as a particular post, or we could make that as an announcement, doing the usual sort of formatting. Please complete this. Okay, and in here, having clicked copy before, we can paste in the particular response and it'll have a link. A better approach would be to do a hyperlink, selecting the text, clicking insert the link, and copy Control V into there, insert and control. So that's what I'm going to do there. and then we can paste. Okay, so that is now placed within the team. If we now have a look from the pupil point of view, then this is the pupil, what the pupil sees. And the pupil sees, here's the forms quiz to do, and if the pupil clicks on the form, it takes them to the quiz and the questions that we put in. So we can put first answer, is it yes? Okay, we can type in our answer, and we can type in a longer answer at the bottom. You can see how the box is bigger. Once you've completed that, you can then click submit, and you can get some instant feedback as a pupil by clicking on view response. Okay, and what we see here is that when we click on that, we see the message for the respondent selecting the answer that we put in there, so they can get some instant feedback from that particular part there. If we click on this part here, we can see the same thing. So they can see that they've got this question wrong, although the correct answer is yes, and they got yes we can. So as we'll see, the teacher can now go back in and amend that part. Okay, so they can go back to as the pupil. So if we go back to the teacher view here, and if we go back to forms and we load the top there, and we can see that there's been one response to this pupil form. So if we click on that, then we can see what the response is, which is shown here. So we've got one response, this is the score, this is how it is, and we can look at the answers. So if we click on review answers here, we can see the individual pupils' responses and what they've got. And we've got a number of ways that we can leave feedback here. So we can leave feedback in each question. Okay, so question 1 feedback. Well done, it was yes. Okay, for question 2, we can see they've put the right answer, but it wasn't one that we put as an acceptable automatic graded answer, so we can amend that to say, actually, that is right. Well done. Yes, we can is an acceptable answer. Okay, the last one, we didn't put a mark in for that, so we're going to say, well, is that enough? And we could say, no, it's not enough. You needed more detail here to explain what happened. Okay, so we can leave feedback for each particular question that we've got for the pupil. The key bit feedback is this feedback box at the top. So this is the main feedback that the pupil will see first. So we could put here, could be a summary of below or overall feedback for what they've got. Okay, so we've left the feedback there and we've typed it in. Okay, if we go back to the pupil view though, and the pupil views the results, then the pupil can't actually see any more information that we've put in there just now. So for the information to show up for the pupil, we go back to the teacher response, and if we click review answers, what we need to do is to go to this part here, and we don't want to delete the response or print it, we want to post the scores. You'll have seen in the other page, if we go here, there is also the post scores option here, which will post all the responses. But you might want to post only an individual one if you haven't left feedback for all the pupils in the class. So we're going to go here, we're going to put post scores and post. And now, if we go back to the pupil view here, and they go back to the page that is there, and say there's the quiz, they could then click on that, and you can see that now we've got the overall feedback at the top, and we've got feedback for each question that we put in. Okay, but the pupil has to know to be able to click back on the link to be able to see the feedback that they've been given. Okay, so having created a quiz as a sample here, we're now going to use that quiz in a Teams assignment. So we'll go back to our Teams here. We had an example looking at the post, but we're now going to do it as an assignment. So we go to the assignment section and we click on create quiz. When we do that, there's an option to choose the form that we've just created. When we click on this, it will attach it to our assignment, and the form will be copied from your personal area that we were seeing within forms to the group that we've got there. Okay, that has not attached it, so let's try that again. There we go. So we can see it's appearing along the bottom there, and it's gradually going to load and to be attached to it. Okay, so we can put the instructions within it. Please complete the quiz assignment attached. From there, it's got the number of points that it's pulled through to Teams. We can select how many students, we can look at dates, we can change it to schedule later, but we're going to just assign it straight away. So we can click assign from that point, and then it appears there. Okay, having been assigned, then you can go to the general link and you can see that it has a viewed from there. So if we go to the pupils view of the assignment, let's close that from the team form here. If we click on the general channel as the pupil, we can see they have the details of the assignment here. So they click view assignments and it takes them to assignments window, and they see the instruction and they see the quiz that they can do. So to take the quiz, they click on the quiz part here, and it opens up Microsoft Forms and it asks them the responses to the questions. Okay, so the pupil would put their answers in there. And then the pupil can submit their responses. So there is immediate feedback that can be seen by clicking on the view results. And what we can see now is that they have the immediate feedback from the questions that they have selected when we designed the original form, and they can see that the first question is incorrect. Okay, they can see here, we didn't put any feedback for that particular response here, but we can see they've got the correct question, and they can see here that this is not automatically marked from there. Okay, so now let's go back to there. So let's have a look from the teacher point of view. What does this look at from them? And see how to mark it. Okay, let's have a look at marking the pupils' work from the assignments menu. So the choices here, you can click on view assignment in the channel, or you can click on the assignments part. So this is from the teacher's point of view. And when you click on the particular assignment, you can see that one of the pupils has handed in their work here and the other one has yet to do so. So if you want to mark this, you can do it in the following way. You can either click here on handed in, or you can click open on forms. Either works. So we'll click on handed in here. And what we can see is that we have the form response feedback part here. Okay, and we can leave feedback for each question. Okay, so we can put the answer was yes, because here, so our feedback for question 1, we can put feedback for question 2, so they had the correct answer. We can amend the points from that, and we can put in the mark for question 3, from there. But the key bit of feedback from the point of teams is this bit at the bottom. So this feedback in the top box goes into the assignments part and can be clearly seen. So we'll see where this is going to turn up. From there. Right, if we click close from there, we'll notice that this has not, still says handed in and nothing else has happened. That's because we've got one more step that we need to do. If we look at it from the point of view of the pupil, if we go back to them, if they now click on the form again, it just says they've already made their response and that is it. Okay, so for them to see any more feedback, they need to click on it after we've done another step. So we'll open it up again to the pupil, and to send them that feedback, we need to click here and we need to click post scores. So we're going to post the scores to the pupil. We can now click close. What we will see is now that that student has moved from the handed in part to the marked section of our assignments. If we click this feedback bubble here, then when it loads through, which it will do in a minute, we will see the feedback that we put in here, and we'll also see this score propagate from there. Okay, so we can now see that the score has come through, and if we toggle the feedback, we can see the bit that we put right in the top box at the start of the page is the feedback that we see in this particular section. They're here and they view their assignment, and when they click on the assignment now, they see the feedback. So the top part of the box is there that we put in. They can see the individual question as feedback as well. Okay, so they couldn't see this until we clicked the post option. The other thing to note is at the top of the page here is the feedback that they had from the bit at the top. It's probably actually a really good idea here to click the form again to see individual question feedback, because until pupils are clear about that, they won't actually know that's the way that it can be done. Okay, having sent the feedback, one of the things you might want to do is you might want to see the feedback that you sent via the forms choice. Okay, so in here, this is your personal form. That's where the data would go if you've shared it as a post within the teams. If you shared it as an assignment, then you need to click on the group forms message here. Okay, and you've got choices. You could hold up recent ones there. It will also look at recent groups that you happen to be using as well. So you can scroll through to the one that you happen to want from there. So we can see here that we've got the quiz down the bottom here. We can see that within there, we can review the answers and we can review the feedback that we've particularly put within there. Okay, this is quite good because Forms does quite a lot of nice pie charts and things like that. So if you want to look at the whole cohort and you want to look at these graphs, that's one of the ways that you can do. If you want to share your assignment form as a hyperlink, then you would click on here and copy this link. So it's important if you're setting it as a Teams assignment with a Forms quiz in that you copy this link and not any other ones, otherwise your data doesn't go to the same place. Okay, this is to show you how you can post feedback to a student from a Forms assignment using the grades option. So clicking the grades part here, you can see that for the assignment that we've got here, we've got one person who's returned here. This is their score, and then this person hasn't completed theirs. So it's possible to give them feedback here. Now you can return it, which will then mark that work, but there will be no opportunity to give feedback if you use the return option. What you need to do is to click the Open Student Work option, and then you'll see that we get the forms feedback layout. So feedback overall, very good work, and okay, so we can leave some feedback in there. What might be a good idea is click the form to see the detailed question feedback. So at the moment, it might be a good idea to put this in here, and we'll see why in a moment. So for each question, you can leave feedback here. You can look at the grading. Again, you can correct it. This is automatically marked. It hasn't got right because the students elaborated slightly on the response, but it's the correct one. So we're correcting that one there, and we're reading the response at the bottom, and we're saying, right, and leaving some feedback for that particular question. Okay, what we then need to do is we need to go to the dots here, and we need to post the scores. Once you've posted the scores, you can go back in here and change the feedback, but what the pupil sees doesn't seem to change as far as I can see. So you post the scores to send the feedback to the pupil. So let's do that and post. And then we can close this part here. And then we'll see that this now says that the work is returned. Okay, so we can still open the work, we can still return it, but if you click just returned, you wouldn't be able to put in the feedback that was there. If you go to the assignments part here, you can see the information that we've got from that. We can click on the assignments, we can see that it's now moved to the return part, and if we click on here, we can see the top section of the feedback that's provided to the pupil. If we look at it from the pupil perspective here, okay, that's what they saw when they handed it in. If they now go back to the channel, and if they go back on the assignment here, then they can see the top part of feedback is up here, and they can see that it says click the form to see the detailed feedback. If we click the form to see the detailed feedback, we can see the top comment again, and we can see the individual question comments that we've got from there. Okay, this is a video to look at the ways of seeing your feedback from your teacher in a form assignment. So first off, let's open the assignments part, and here there's a form being attached to the assignment, and you click on that and it will open it in Microsoft Forms, and you can complete the answers. Okay, so you would type in your answers to the questions. These were put in earlier, which is why they're already seen from there. Okay, then you click submit. Okay, so having clicked submit, there is some immediate feedback that you can get about how you've done by clicking on the view results option. You can see whether the question is right, and underneath the question, your teacher may have put a message if you chose that particular answer, saying why it was the right answer. Okay, so you would see some information under here. You'll see for question 2 that this one has been marked incorrectly, and underneath there for this type of short response is the correct answer. Now you can see in this case the pupil has put yes we can, the correct answer is yes. Your teacher will be able to change this for you, as we'll see later. So you can look at that and say, well, it's marked automatically wrong, but actually I've got the right answer. And then for the last question, because it's a longer response question, then in this case you don't see any feedback upon it because the teacher needs to check whether that is correct. So that is the first part of the instant feedback that you can get. if you go back to the page. So if you go back, you can view the results and have a look at that. If you've closed the form, it then tells you that it's been submitted and it's been handed in by that. If you then go to click it again, what you'll see is that it'll tell you that you've already made the response and you're not allowed to look at it again. Okay, so you've completed your forms assignment. It's been sent to the teacher. How do you know what mark you get in the end and what other feedback you might get? So to do that, you go to the grades menu at the top here. If you click on that, if the assignment has been returned to you, it will appear here. If it hasn't been returned to you, then this screen will be completely, utterly blank. And then to look at the detail, you can see it's been returned. Now you can't do anything on this screen here. So instead, now you can go back to the assignment and you can look at the completed one and we can click on there. Or we could go back to the view assignment in the general channel. Okay, and now we see we've got some more feedback. We see we've got some feedback at the top of the page here from the teacher. Okay, and this particular one says, click the form again to see the detailed feedback. Your teacher might not be writing this in, but what they mean is if you go back on here, it opens up the details and now it gives you all that feedback. So the feedback is right at the top. That's what you could see when it was closed, but you can also see the feedback for each question, for the responses that you could see just after you submitted it, and extra information from your teacher down the bottom here. So you can see here that even though it's been marked as a cross, you've actually got a point and you've got it correct there. And your teacher said this is a really good detailed part there. Okay, so when you have submitted a forms quiz for your assignments, you can have a look at the grades part to see what marks you get at the end and whether it's been returned to you or not. If it has been returned, then you can look at the feedback. And you can do that by clicking on the assignments that are completed, click on the information, some initial feedback here, but also there may be additional information within here that you should check and have a read of so you can learn what to do and how to improve.